I've been popping pills since yesterday.
Pills as in 2 yesterday and 2 today.
Overdosing.
I'm angry.
Alright,
I still
All right. Then making this thing so boring. Like they're not excited to talk about anything.
sex. Sorry. Very topic for today.
That is not the topic. The topic is
Sex work, prostitution.
why are you making it sound like that? Like
It's like we're 10 minutes in already and people don't even know what we're talking about us yet. It's like, come on, ma'am. Speed it up.
Welcome to season 2, episode 4 of the AWS Show, Law, Life, Laughter.
O'clock. Will they break the contractual terms?
Yeah, but all the 5 women wicked.
How that have to do with the conversation at the end?
I don't know, I was just trying to get it to move on.
Okay.
I already moved on, you know. I was waiting for you to shut up.
Alright.
Oh.
So we
Oh,
established
sure.
women wicked.
No, I don't think so. I think like everybody just need to know their place in a kind of way.
Know the place.
Yeah,
And the
know
way
their
they will.
place. The place.
I find so.
Isn't it?
I have no comment. I was just harsh, right?
Everybody needs to know their place. Like the political atmosphere in our country right now. Like nobody not knowing the place.
Okay, sure.
If all you understand what I say.
Men and
Like-
the place.
Politics is in the atmosphere, right? We get our point. So CNC3 make this post about the Court of Appeal, not the Court of Appeal case, but a case, right? And then persons in the comments, oh God, they had a
So
whole bunch of
basically
things
it
to
was
say.
like
I don't
a-
want to say it.
So it's like a Buggery case, right? So you all remember Jason Jones in 2016. There was a new case recently that came out concerning the Buggery law in Trinidad and Tobago, that basically where the Court of Appeal or the High Court said that it is illegal. And what they said as well is that judgment or the decision in Jason Jones was the judges making law because it's I can't remember.
Yeah. So if all you don't know, well, for the people who not doing law and don't know what we're talking about, right? So in our Sexual Offences Act,
Nothing.
in our Sexual Offences Act, Section 13, 1 states, a person who commits buggery is guilty of an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment. A, if committed by an adult on a minor, he will be in prison for life. B states, if committed by an adult on another adult, for 25 years. And C says, if committed by a minor, for 5 years. Right? Subsection 2 states, in this section, buggery means sexual intercourse per annum by a male person with a male person or by a male person with a female person. Right? So basically, he went to court for them to remove this law in layman terms. What do you think? About the law? Whether it should stand, whether we should get rid of it, whether we should amend it.
Well, the thing is that there are a lot of people that was commenting in the comments saying
In the comments?
Yeah,
know,
they
saying
really
a lot
want to
of-
try the comments.
saying a lot of vulgar stuff.
Weak.
But in terms of my position on it, this is 2025, right? I think for us to be judging or for us to have a legal input into the homes of grown adults is a bit ridiculous and far-fetched. It kind of brought me back to this case that we learned in criminal law
Which
about
one?
rape. You know, how marital rape was accepted.
Oh,
And
right.
you know, and then in R&R 1991, that is when they finally decided that that was an illegal thing to do. So basically, before R&R 1991, we could put kind of a little thing there. A husband could have legally raped his wife, legally, and that was in place for centuries, if not decades, right? And then in 1991, that decision came out, whereas it was pronounced that a husband could not rape his wife. legally, right?
In terms
So I
of if
feel-
the wife say she don't want to have sex,
She
he
don't want to
cannot
have sex.
force her to have sex. Not because they are husband and wife means he could force her to have sex.
Correct. So I feel as though we need to get along with the times. I mean, yes, it have religious considerations and it have, I don't want to say social considerations, but yes, it have religious considerations, social considerations. By the end of the day, grown adults should have the ability to make decisions for themselves when it comes to that aspect of sex and sexual intercourse. Of course, it's not against minors because I have a major issue against that. I feel as though they should be castrated and they should also burn in hell. And the fiery pits of hell. No, like you know how I'm a supporter of the death penalty?
Death penalty.
Right, good. I am a supporter of hanging, what do you call them? Pedophiles,
Sex offenders.
sex offenders, yeah.
So you don't believe in reform?
No.
Wait, when it sex offenders as it relates to adults or minors?
Yes. They should be castrated. They should be pelted down. They should be stoned. Was it that biblical thing they used to do back in the daytime?
I don't know.
Stone them, hang them at the stake. No, burn them at the stake. That
And
should
while the
happen.
act here states
Mhm.
for life, I see CNC3 make another post. This man who was convicted of raping a teen gets 7 years in prison.
Mhm.
7 years?
Mhm.
7 years?
What good?
Who was the person on that case? 7 years?
No,
You
but
think
you see,
you can come
that is
again?
why they want to be so liberal. That is why these
No, but
things will
7
happen.
years?
7 years? Well, yes, 7 years.
7 years
but
is
they
like
wanna be so
1, 2, 3,
liberal.
4, 5. It's not like giving you 2 hands.
No, because or they want to be liberal, or they want to be so, they should live and they should live and live and live. That is what will happen.
7
They will
years,
just
though.
again,
7
like,
years is...
comments.
Read the comments. Well, he died.
I died to the comment.
Read
I
the
listen
comments.
to you all and what I would want to say.
Say what you have to say.
Say what you had to
Say off
say.
your chest. Get off
Ah,
your chest.
yeah,
Get your
right
chest up here. Get
now.
off your
I
chest.
find I hear they talk about religion and stuff and whatever and whatever and whatever and whatever.
Burn them
Right?
to the stake.
Right. But then at the same time we fighting to remove Babylon.
What do you mean?
You is now agreeing that with religion, based on religious stuff or whatever, you should do
That is
certain
what I'm-
things or whatever.
So
right?
that's why I asked
So then
Stevenson.
how, if we use religion, then we can't really fight for Babylon.
No, that's what I'm asking. I will
To
ask
remove
you
it.
the same thing. Are we leaving it as is?
Mhm.
Are we going to remove it totally, or are we going to amend
The thing
what
is,
is already there?
even though I don't agree with the action, I would say that the law really should not have any place within the private lives or private homes of
I'm not using
individuals.
religion, just to clarify. I'm not using religion to.
No, I just stayed the point.
So
I just stayed the
yeah,
point.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just stayed the point.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that.
What part?
Which part?
You see the point there? Anyhow. So yeah, the law really shouldn't have a place in the private homes of individuals. What they do,
Once, of course, it's not illegal.
once it's not illegal, yeah. So, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, see comments.
Read the
Yeah.
comments.
This is the
So-
terrible Trinidadians are.
So as we know, wait, before you read the comments, as we know, general election taking place April the 28th, you all need to vote. I just say,
It has some
Whoever-
right, this is your right
What are two?
to vote. But what I'm trying to say is how persons bringing in the whole political atmosphere into the whole case with the Buggery
Legit.
laws and the Jason Jones case and all of that. Right? And this has happened every election. Read some of the comments.
They're really comments.
Okay, before we get into that comment, go from before the other comments, right?
Go ahead.
So somebody say, put him and his kind in a cell. When one becomes pregnant, let them go. So we know they're not gonna become pregnant, right? You just trying to talk me second. And he's like, abomination is them go on to adopt people boy children to bugger them and teach them SHIT.
You know what's so crazy about that statement? Is that straight people is be buggering little children. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Women is be raping little boys. And be the same society.
Well, women can't bugger. They could read.
I'm not talking about bugger. I'm talking about rape.
I thought you were still on bugger.
Oh God, oh God. I'm just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to make an example, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, before you move on, my thing with that whole adoption thing is, you all should know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we have strict laws as it relates to adoption.
Strict.
strict.
Yeah.
Laws and procedures. But we ain't gonna get into that shit.
Strict.
Go ahead.
This one kind of. Anyhow.
Well, it on the media, I know, so they could go and see.
I hope it's not a little church watching this, but somebody say big hardback man wants them to pass law. Let's see if I can sensitize this to have sex per annum, right? All you know how they would say them.
But you laughing
So-
too much, they don't understand what you saying. You want me to read it?
You go
You
take
want
that-
me to read it?
So there's like, yeah, well, politics. So there's like, all you're sick, yes? Trinidad is the home of beautiful women, but all they want to pass law to bust all your stink rotten AWS no share. Even funny. So somebody was like,
This is not funny.
that's really not funny.
It's really not.
So
This is gonna be somebody in the background.
I don't know, laughing.
It's a pass.
We heard somebody in the
Yeah, I passed
background
that.
laughing.
Anyhow, what somebody say, all they better go back to wherever all they come out.
Ole better go back to wherever Ole come out, trying to bring that shit here. Sorry, that sugar honey iced tea here in Trinidad now because Trump don't want his America no more.
Crazy. We have.
Why does it look like that? Never mind.
Wait, is this from
Because Trump
Instagram?
don't wait no more.
Ah.
Oh, they can comment about that.
Back to
Trump don't wait no more, so they bring in the tea.
but
That
back
makes
to
sense.
USA with the parties. So look here how they bring it. Somebody was like, man, go and take your man elsewhere, you're sicko. Not in Trinidad. We forward up in here. Check the yellow party with your sugar honey iced tea. They have plenty with them. You could have sex all you want over there.
The reason so why they're saying with the UNC or the Yellow Party, the Yellow Party
The yellow party,
is because the Yellow Party had a transgender. I don't know why
a
Trinidad-
transgender.
I don't know why people say
Senator.
transgender. Like transgender. What is
I
also
never hear anybody.
I never hear
People
anybody
always
say
say
that.
that transgender. Oh, well. Yeah, so the Yellow Party had a transgender senator. who
A
has not-
transgender
Yes.
senator. So that's what they bring in the whole political thing. I find that just it's real distasteful because let me be for real. If they didn't call election now, I doubt they would have been on it so much.
Right.
If only understand what
No,
I'm
the
saying.
political climate today is
The political climate high.
Political
I mean, we like
It's not very-
what a month away from
Less than a month.
elections.
That's
no
not-
is absolutely
It's a month.
crazy.
Wait, today's the 28th.
Oh, today's
A month away from general
Everybody
elections.
just going. Oh,
Everybody
like,
on a
who
they
bashing
hot.
who and who thinging who.
Yeah, boy. And I heard one of my colleagues mention this on Instagram, and he said, "You know what? After politics, after the whole election time, you have a life to live. I'm not going to stop talk to you because you with another party.
Exactly.
I have friends, I have good friends who are leaders, who are youth leaders in other political parties.
Doesn't
And so
matter
what? I
if
go and
you
stop
support
talk to you because you're in an next political party?
yellow. Exactly.
No,
Doesn't
we-
matter if you support yellow, if you support
No,
red,
Red, if you support black, if you support
Ah.
green. Yeah, it have a party who is black with red.
Okay,
red
You know, but the thing is, the way they get it, and it's like these enemies with one another. It's like you would have the government and then you have the opposition. It's like you're fighting against one another. But you're not really supposed to be fighting against one another. You as the opposition. So it's supposed to just be a check and balance for what the government is actually
Correct.
doing. I don't understand why. I don't want to call these politicians names, but like they feel like everything is about power. You have power in your position as opposition leader. You could do so much, but no.
And one thing about politics,
They want to run the country.
No, yeah, but one thing about politics and dirty politics, this part with the whole commenting and stuff on the situation,
Yeah, you
not
know
you.
what?
That to me is dirty politics.
Who, me commenting on this situation?
No, not you
Oh,
commenting on the
others, I
situation.
comment
The
on what we
commenting
do,
no
yeah.
read.
Okay, yeah.
It's dirty politics, and yeah, we ain't going to spend too long on that. What we really want to get into is sex workers and prostitution in Trinidad and Tobago. Because sex workers, prostitution, all these things,
So they're about sex.
All these
And
things
Stevenson said before.
are tied into the law, tied into the Sexual Offences Act, etc. So, how are we going to define a sex worker?
Somebody having sex and getting paid.
Yeah.
I guess.
Somebody having sex
Basically.
and-
Paid for
So
having
basically,
sex.
it's anybody that engages in the act of sexual intercourse in exchange for
Money.
funds.
Could be goods and services.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be goods and
Could be,
services, could be a
grocery,
hamper,
yeah.
a little
Yeah.
voucher.
Some with value would say earning.
Yeah.
Earnings.
Pick a little Gucci bag,
You know.
a little Gucci belt,
No Samsung.
in exchange.
Just for a
A
little
little
Samsung.
iPhone.
A little iPhone,
A little
a little
Samsung.
KFC.
Aye.
No,
A little
no.
KFC because some people engage in that activity for KFC.
Oh, you know that?
I know,
It's
like,
on the media.
not right now, but like some years back, you used to hear them things. It used
Of
to be
course.
very prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Very prevalent. Crazy. So the definition I find is individuals who engage in sex work, which is the exchange of sexual services for money or goods.
Mhm.
So it's not only, oh, you're having sex, intercourse,
Mhm.
penetration.
Mhm.
And the term is
Go ahead.
often preferred over prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
Prostitute. Oh, I Googled this, right? And I think I Googled the definition or something like that. No, I Googled prostitution in Trinidad or sex work in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
And it was up high there on Google, like right there. It's most prevalent in Spain
Definitely.
or in streets.
I see that definitely. Like I know, boy.
I cannot follow.
Like I just be there.
I don't want you side
Hello.
eye.
No.
Side eye.
No.
Side eye.
Anyway,
Anyways,
time's hard now, though.
so persons living on the earnings of prostitution, right? A person who knowingly lives wholly or in part on the earnings of prostitution or in any place solicits for immoral purposes is guilty of an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for 5 years. What do you think? What do you think about that? Wait. What I'm trying to say is, right? So it had the pimp and it had the person who had to work for the pimp. You all think the pimp and the person working for the pimp should be arrested,
Everybody going now.
should be held liable.
No.
Okay. No, we mean not everybody should be held liable. Okay, if we go back, let me define prostitution properly, right? And what it is actually get charged for. So, as we would have learned, as we see in the law, you don't actually get charged for committing the act of prostitution. You get charged for earning on the act of prostitution, right? So, the pimp who sending out the prostitutes, he is technically earning on the act of prostitution as well. So he can get charged. She now, I say she, but she or he, that is,
Because as
that
you know,
is
prostitution
mainly-
could be male or female
maybe
prostitution.
females, but male or female, right? But yeah, so yeah. That's why I don't watch it. So I sorry, I'll choose movies a little more wine. But
Just get to the point.
yeah, get to the point, right? And her who is committing prostitution is also earning from the prostitution. So she could go down as well. Now my question is, should we make it legal? Because
Yes.
we would have talked before about the Buggery laws and the law intervening on the private lives of individuals. So should we actually make prostitution legal?
Yes.
Why?
Why not?
Should we make it legal, you see?
Legal, yeah. Why is it a
not?
crime to earn on prostitution?
Why not? I don't understand. Again, we're in 2025. I think prostitution is actually one of the age-old profession. People have been selling themselves for money or for goods or in exchange for something for centuries. You know? Something wrong?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean that is a factual statement. People have been selling their bodies in exchange for money or goods for a very long time. And I just feel as though the reason as to why it's criminalized or because it's illegal is due to the social stigma or how society interprets people who do sex work. And they also believe that is an immoral act. You know, that
Correct.
can influence other
Correct.
people and young children. to do
Because
that.
it goes back to the whole sex before marriage,
Yeah.
adultery, fornication, it goes back
But
to all
I
that.
believe that people should have the ability to choose what is right for themselves. Again, as you rightly said earlier, the economy is not in a good state right now. So it's like, and I know
You say
during
that?
COVID, huh?
You
You
say
did?
that?
You say
I
that?
probably did. I probably did.
Yeah, you did. You probably did.
I
You
was
did.
joking.
You lied. You wasn't joking. Anyhow, so yeah, because remember COVID, a whole set of people lost their jobs.
Mhm.
So that is a whole set of families that were on the breadline during COVID. If they saw sex, so that is why OnlyFans is on the rise, because people lost their jobs, their permanent or semi-permanent jobs, and they had to live some other way. You don't know it's OnlyFans?
You never heard about it, you never see a YouTuber talk about it.
It's not actual fans all over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for those who don't know,
I know it is. I was trying to play innocent.
you're like,
But you can explain to the people.
you're not innocent. Both of us here are innocent. Anyhow, OnlyFans is a
Like, you know what I mean, boy.
You know what I mean?
He's so abundantly free.
But anyhow, go
Be
ahead.
so sorry.
These big people. I sure Annalise, anyhow.
But no, back to the legal.
Come
I feel like it should remain illegal though, because look at the public implications of
What is public
prostitution.
implications?
Higher rates of STDs. Okay, remember we
So, a health crisis.
yeah, okay, remember
Health crisis.
we don't want to
Next
tell people
question.
what to do privately, but prostitution becomes a public problem now because you're not doing this privately, but you're doing it in
Contraceptives
public
are
as well.
free.
They are on the street. Contraceptives are free and
Next.
STD still spreading crazy.
Because they're not using contraceptives. Duh.
But contraceptive doesn't provide a 100%
That as well.
security.
Also, okay, you know what? You know what is an important point? I think as though that if you're doing prostitution, you ought to be required to do certain certain checks.
So
Because
you're gonna have a
mental health.
business, a prostitution business, and
No.
ensure that the
No,
prostitutes are
certain
still through the
checks.
business.
No.
You
Will
are
do
saying-
proper checks and whatever.
Shut up. So,
So in order to do prostitution, you must be part of going a business,
No.
make sure it have health.
Oh,
and
no.
Let finish talk, let finish
Yeah,
talk.
you're
Let
talking over
finish
my-
talk.
I was talking, I know you went to for me. I didn't get to finish my
That's
point.
alright.
But go ahead.
The point is what I'm saying is that prostitutes
Uh-huh.
or sex workers,
Uh-huh.
they are required or they should be required to take health checks. So for example, AIDS rapid testing, HIV/AIDS rapid testing, they should do like the whole scheme in order to do their thing.
But we know this is
Correct.
not
But
going to
wouldn't that
happen.
put us straight on our healthcare system?
Oh,
And we know it's not going to happen because think about it. The regular person, them just going and walk into a health facility and take a HIV test.
Yes.
Like, let us be for real.
Yes.
The layman on the street in
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago, Stevenson.
And
The
it's
woman
free.
that wants
Stevenson, the woman and the man,
That
the
want to
lay
make
woman
money?
and the man that want to make money
go and go to all that.
in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean,
Right.
going and walk into a health
And
facility.
it's free. Only
Well, and what kind of
That's
life
going,
are we
and, that's
encouraging?
going and bringing a whole other issue of problems because
Right.
now it's no longer going to be free. Because they're going to have so much persons wanting to go
It's
for
not
the
a
free
charge.
testing.
But listen, how many people are feel be going in the HIV clinic every other day?
And that's my point.
But then we're gonna have more.
That is my point. No, he
Yes,
don't prove
right.
my point, you know. How many persons go into the HIV clinic per day?
Does not matter. The point is,
No, but you know,
the point is, they have
listen,
rapid
in
testing.
the HIV clinic, if there are not many persons
Uh-huh.
going for testing,
Uh-huh.
you really think when they start to perform more in the act of sex work,
Mhm.
the layman and the lay woman is going to walk into the clinic?
what
You
are
think
they
anything
concerned
is going to change?
What they're concerned about is the overburden of the healthcare system. That was
That's
concerned
That-
about.
that-
more
that's alone.
questions. I
can't-
finish yet.
I concern about the generation to come. through.
Exactly. What
Because
kind of life you
what
perpetuated?
about babies being born with certain diseases?
Because people are being reckless.
Okay, what about
Chill.
what kind of life you influence in the younger generation to
Oh,
come up and
please,
live?
don't give me that.
Because no, you're making prostitution illegal, right?
Uh-huh.
Why go to school and study for when I could just use my
Listen,
body and make money?
don't you dare. Because
What do
it
you
is the same issue with drugs. It is the same issue
Drugs
with
are legal.
cocaine legal. and shit like that.
Certain drugs.
Illegal. You want to make the thing legal.
Yeah, but it have shows such as knock, right?
you want to make prostitution legal.
Right.
And if we do this, why am I going to school?
Right,
Okay,
but
just
what I'm
want to
trying
have
to
sex
say, what I'm trying
and
to
make
say,
money.
what I'm trying to say is that there are illegal drugs, or I'm using another example. There are illegal drugs in Trinidad and Tobago, but yet we still have thousands and bags of cocaine that come into the country, and people are making money off of it.
But it's
And there's a
illegal.
whole generation of people
But it's
that
legal.
doing that.
But it's illegal.
Yeah, but it's not being enforced.
It's illegal.
They're not getting
Okay,
locked
well,
up.
then there's a separate issue.
No, that's not a
that.
second issue, because at the end of the day,
It
if
is
they're
being
making this thing legal,
It's
right?
being enforced.
Really?
He boys
If it's
kind
being
of going.
enforced- No. If it's being enforced, we will have bags of cocaine coming into the country.
They just
every
have
single day.
corruption.
And you know that?
So solve the
Wait.
corruption.
I have a question
Sure.
though. You see that? Like with your own eyes?
Yeah. So, although we watching the news?
No, we watching the news. We
he's
watching the
smart.
news. But the level at which you saying it
Yeah,
coming
you say like
in.
it.
That's the
Yes,
news.
yes,
You want me to link an article for you? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
put the article.
Set it up.
At least rather than
Set it up.
Put the article on
No,
the
but
comments.
you
for the
want to
people.
legalize
I will.
prostitution.
Yes.
I'm confused.
I don't understand. OnlyFans is a legal thing.
Okay.
That is OnlyFans, and even on OnlyFans, you don't have to do sex, or you don't have to do sex on OnlyFans. You can search up, you can take pictures of your leg. Yes, it is. It's legal. Huh?
Yeah.
You don't have to do porn.
But that's not
Or you
prostitution.
don't have to do that.
That's not prostitution.
I know, but I'm just saying. I just making an example.
Why would
right?
we legalize something such an immoral act? That don't make it sense.
What is
Our
immoral?
constitution is founded upon moral values and stuff like that.
Yawn.
Why are we? That's crazy.
Yawn.
That's crazy. You can say yawn as a law student too. That's
First
crazy.
and foremost,
So he's saying
corruption is a major issue.
legalize it.
Let's solve the
Don't
corruption,
protest-
not bring more things to create more corruption.
How making prostitution legal is creating more corruption?
It could.
How?
It could. It's already passed.
Same thing like drugs. Drugs illegal, but yet thousands every single day.
you
Bags
can't
and bags
think
of
about
cocaine.
But you
But
can't
okay,
can't
because
hold on,
society
hold
not
on.
let me
Wait.
develop.
human trafficking is a whole other story. There's a whole other
That is
thing.
my point. That illegal stuff that happening in Trinidad on a constant basis, but yet it continually happening. Continuously
Right,
happening.
it continuously happening. So what about working to make things better?
Exactly. Why you gonna bring immoral things to solve problems that was there before? That don't making sense. Solve the problems.
I'm a voice coach, so let's move on.
My thing is, he's saying legalize it, don't criticize it. He's saying don't put immoral things. What is it?
Legal.
Yeah, don't put immoral things legal. What I am saying it would have a major negative societal impact.
Okay.
Major.
Big up on it.
Major.
I humbly and respectfully and unanimously disagree. Yeah,
Unanimously.
Even though
I want to know. Oh, I see that.
Right?
Yes, I see
And
major
Stevenson's
shareholders.
point actually bringing up another point.
Where's another?
Because as we know, there are a lot of Venezuelans who migrate to Trinidad. And one of the things that we see as well is where persons would exchange sex for transportation to the country.
You say okay.
You say
Get
okay.
the point.
You was now saying legalize it, right? So what I'm saying is, could that be one of the Could that be like one of the benefits of legalizing it?
Well,
Venezuelans in the country.
No, oh my gosh, you're picking up. You're picking up.
I'm not picking up. I don't.
Same thing. When we define prostitution, and it is the exchange or sex for this.
By the way, before we move
Right,
on,
so they're doing sex to come into the country. What do you think about that? In simple terms, what do you think about that?
They're doing sex to come into the country
Oh gosh, in exchange for transportation.
from Venezuela to Trinidad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who they having sex with coming in
Trinidad. Okay, Trini people on the boat. Trini people on the boat. If you have sex with me, I go bring you to.
Okay, but you already think that sex is a major issue as to how they coming into the country in the first place? Be so abundantly for real.
mad?
Be so abundantly for real.
You never hear about sex trafficking?
Why you feel this when it's coming in and women?
Because it have a whole border unprotected and they coming straight from that point. South Trinidad.
The ignorance.
What?
The ignorance.
You all have my voice going, right? That's only that making sense. Y'all feel the south of Trinidad, the border is wide open. The Coast Guard don't do anything to prevent the Venezuelans from coming into the country. How y'all feel that Venezuelans coming into Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, What about persons? Again, your next example.
Sex trafficking is not limited by coming in illegally. People come in the country legally with
with
a passport. They come in the country legally with a passport and they're still sex trafficked. They come in under an alias. It has nothing to do coming in with the borders illegally.
And imagine legalizing prostitution on top of that.
Although the means of it is...
Let me give you another example. Let me give you another example. It have stories, and if you Google it now, you would see. It have stories where women were basically lured into other countries on the premise of work, but they were sex trafficked. Exactly. Prostitution.
I think we're talking about two different things here.
No.
See, all the prostitution.
Tied into the legality of prostitution.
If you legalize, it would encourage these kind of behaviors.
I'm not saying to just have it unequivocal, right? I'm saying yes, make it legal. Yes, some regulations.
Society carry it down, do this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You always in between. I want it fully legal, but here we will make it legal, but
regulated.
You can't this little thing.
Wait. Let me regulate it. So all the prostitutes out there, you know, they will go for monthly checkup. Make sure you use condoms.
Like beautiful.
Make sure you you know.
I think you're missing the point. You have to think about the purpose of why a law is being enacted. You can't just change.
That is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
Regulated this way, change this law to fit a certain category of people. There is a reason why people legislate laws.
Exactly. My point is so for example, right? Why did they take the step, or why did they take the action to decriminalize marijuana? Tell me.
To decriminalize it?
Yes, to decriminalize it. I'm listening.
Because one of the major problems we were having was jail in terms of the capacity of...
But they come and take a
marijuana?
Yes, that was one of the major reasons.
So too many persons being arrested for small amounts of marijuana. One.
Right? And it was crowding jail. It was also causing difficulties in terms of human rights issues. People being in small cells and whatever.
So overcrowding in the prison and basically the case not being heard
and they would have realized that by decriminalizing it would not cause this big public impact. Negatively.
Let's take a
legalize prostitution, as you say. It's a big negative impact.
Let's take a pen right there, right? So we know that marijuana, even though it has some benefits, is generally bad for society. We can agree on that statement?
No.
No? How come?
Wait.
Even though marijuana.
Stop talking so loud.
Yeah, right.
Even though. Yeah, that was
it has benefits.
Even though marijuana has some benefits, because when you do like the oil and all that good cannabis oil, it has medical benefits. But can we agree that marijuana on the whole is dangerous and or is a danger to public health in society? Yes or no? Thank you. Point blank period.
Not just the health, but different sectors.
Thank you. Point blank period.
We understand.
That is why there's a little bit of what?
Isn't that a regulation of marijuana? Let me know. Isn't that a regulation of marijuana in society? Yes or no?
Wait. So So what I hear you say,
all right.
So what I hear you say is we regulating prostitution, right? Wait,
Wait,
so you can't prostitute on Monday. Prostitute on Mondays and Thursdays. Don't prostitute for the rest of the
Go back. Annalise, go ahead.
So Stevenson, make the point that you was making. That's how we agree with marijuana being good.
Just say over the point.
That's right.
Don't say nothing. You hush.
Those agree.
You hush.
agree.
Hey.
Right. We agree that there are benefits about marijuana, right? Because when you use cannabis oil, it is used for medical purposes and it can actually help people.
Yeah.
But can we agree, as all four of us sitting here, it was three of us by the way, all four of us sitting here now, that marijuana generally is a bad for public health?
Right. And I
Yes
agree
or
with
no?
you.
Right.
Just
All
for
right,
public
let
waste,
you
not
say
just
her
for
point.
public health, but other
Other sectors of society.
Right. Now where you going with this?
Okay,
What I'm
can I
saying
comment?
is-
on that?
Wait.
No, he
Let
said
him
that.
finish.
No,
Let
wait.
Let him finish your point and then comment.
Yeah.
Right, he finished your point for now.
No, let him finish.
Right. What I'm saying
My
is,
bad.
we understand that this is generally a bad thing, right? That is how some people might view prostitution as a bad thing. But because it is necessary for society in terms of our economic benefit, it should be allowed. It should be legalized, but regulated so that people have the opportunity to prostitute themselves in a way, but they need to also realize that there are health benefits to this thing. So therefore, if the state regulate it. I have a one in English, right? Regulates. But three encompasses.
All right.
Regulates this thing called prostitution. We can have a smoother. We can have the citizens have the ability to choose whatever they would like to do with their own bodies. And it's the same concept with marijuana as well, because they could use marijuana because it's 4 plants they can use. If you have anything more than 4 plants of marijuana, you can be arrested. And why is that the case? Because they know that marijuana is a public health or is a public safety issue. That is what the point I'm making.
You're comparing marijuana. We identify that marijuana has not only health effects on the public health, but also safety concerns, criminal concerns, even economic concerns or something else. When we equate it, because it's prostitution we're talking about, where the good effects of prostitution versus that of the negative effects.
Another.
Exactly.
No, let him add it. Let him add that. Wait,
if I could add
hold on, wait. Go ahead. Besides economically gaining from prostitution, where the effects, because as you pointed, it was just now making a start from marijuana. So I want to make the comparison between two. And that's the comparison you're making? Right. Make the comparison.
Wait.
I don't know for him to stay on that point here.
Let me start in point. Positive benefits of prostitution. Women who, let's say, do not have higher education, I'm not saying that people who are in higher education cannot
participate in it.
But the statistic is that people who, right, they have a chance of earning, right? What else is there?
Right. So in addition to that, it had the economic benefit, right?
That's
but that is the economic benefit.
I thought you said it had public health benefits.
Shut up. The second issue is choice. People have the ability to choose whatever they would like to do. And of course, the state has legalized something.
A choice. No, don't laugh. No.
Right.
Take him serious.
Has legalized something that gives the ability, because we're always talking about bodily autonomy, right? And the state having control over somebody's body in order for them to do something. So that mechanism of making it legal is also giving opportunity to people in society to have control over their bodily autonomy. That's a second benefit.
All right. Wait, let's let him finish. Go ahead.
Right. So that's 2 benefits, right? A third benefit. I had to think about it.
You say public health.
All right.
You say public health benefits. When you was talking, when you was ranting.
I never said.
Yeah.
If I could raise a point in the middle of that. And so he made the comparison between marijuana and prostitution, right? As it relates to marijuana. Marijuana, let me put it as this, is a 1-person job. If someone chooses, what I mean is, in terms of persons basically, to an extent, right? Let me say, because we're talking about the health and so forth of society in general. If a person chooses to, smoke marijuana or whatever, that's on them personally. As it relates to prostitution now, that's two persons coming together, having sexual intercourse or doing other sexual activities.
But they say the consequences are much higher individual. So that's what we're trying to tell you. Prostitution does not just affect the individual, even though it may have personal benefits, but the gravity of the consequences on the country. Society. So we're not talking about just the individual in terms of their health, well-being. We're talking about families, we're talking about schooling, we're talking about the economy, we're talking about
social
life on the whole, right? The health system, not just the person's individual health, but now the government in terms of making sure that if we want to give them bodily autonomy, we need to know how to do it right.
And even persons who work in these particular health sectors and so forth, they are also at a risk. As you know, for example, let me say a needle end up choking them or something, they too now have to go the extra mile to basically prevent it from spreading.
And okay, so let's look at countries that have prostitution legalized, right? What consequences do they have to face now? Because even when you legalize prostitution, you have to think about things about, for instance, abuse, sexual abuse. You will see an increase in sexual abuse because let's say, okay, you go with a client, I'm not feeling uncomfortable with this client. I'm telling this client, no, stop. He continues. Now you have a whole...
And that's where I raise the point where women being lured, women or men being lured into countries on the premise of, a job, of having a job. But Wesley wants to say something so long.
First and foremost, I don't I was going to respond quickly to that.
No, give him chance to respond. He was
about half a point.
Give him chance
I think about half a point. I want to see that. Okay, let me pull back. Okay, two things I didn't mention. Okay, right. One.
Be kind. Let's remember that.
No, go ahead.
No, okay, let's see if I remember what I said. So one, as you rightly said, equating marijuana and prostitution is crazy.
I never said what's crazy. I said we have to make it.
Listen. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it's crazy. When we look at marijuana and the negative effects of marijuana stem from the overuse of marijuana, right? That is where the health effects and everything coming from the overuse of marijuana. If I smoke 1, 2, 3 blood, nothing is gonna happen.
Really? Because
if I abuse it's just like alcohol. If I abuse something,
so whenever you have alcohol poisoning,
if you if your tolerance is low and you drinking plenty, then you are abusing it.
Hey,
abuse can be subjective, enough.
So one drink could go.
If you know you cannot drink alcohol, why are you drinking?
Alcohol poisoning.
If you know you cannot drink, why are you drinking?
Cannot. If it is, I go out and I drink once.
How? Just now, finish your point.
What is the probability on getting? What is the probability on getting alcohol poisoning from one drink?
High.
You're crazy. You don't even do that.
You're mad.
Anyhow, the problems comes from the abuse of marijuana, and that is the reason why they have decriminalized it. So you have a limit on what you can use, therefore preventing any societal impacts, any public health impacts. Not to say that people can still abuse it, but they have laws set for that.
Yeah.
Slim. How slim?
How are you regulating?
Slim like
Compared to prostitution.
How are you regulating prostitution to say you could only prostitute a little bit to finish your points though?
Good.
And then you come on ball. Secondly, you come on ball bodily autonomy or whatever you use, right?
Oh, what is that?
Right? Yes. Don't try to. I have a distinction in English. You might have a one.
So ignorant and stupid. They don't even use the term distinction in CXC anymore.
I have 3 years on my profile.
That's not after.
Anyhow,
that is not the point.
Anyhow.
You want to shine? You can't shine now. You can't shine.
I do not understand what you were doing. Anyhow,
We almost have
you
to
say body autonomy, right? And everybody have a choice. Being a law student, you do episodes before. You argue these things unto our rights limited. What we could do, not limited. So why you have a problem with them limiting the choice of prostitution? Make it make sense.
What?
Any Trinidad to make it make sense.
What?
Why you have a problem?
I am speaking.
What is wrong with them limiting that?
I am speaking.
What
for
do
my
you think?
legislature.
What's our comment
What
on
do you think?
So we
Exactly. What do you
legislators,
I am
think?
speaking from a
Should
societal and legislative
I don't
point
think
of
we
view.
speaking from a society or a legislative point.
Oh, please.
Society will agree prostitution.
Let's say just the countries that have prostitution, I saw Canada, I saw Switzerland, I saw New Zealand,
And
I
here the
saw
countries,
Germany.
first world countries,
Mexico.
proper public health care thing.
Mexico.
Netherlands.
Proper health care. You got you got to make sure that we mean what happened to our health care?
Relax.
Third world country.
So because we
That's
are
facts.
so alright. So because we are a third
You
world
can't do
country,
certain
we don't have
things.
our public
Because
health.
besides
Our public health system is really not that good. It's good, but it's not good.
One and the
How long
best world.
Yes, it's the money, but such a time when you break your up. When
Listen, I don't want you to lose.
how long it is to get simplicity in the healthcare?
Does not
When you go to Mount or what is it, in general
Hey,
hospital?
I want to know, so be careful.
Very careful.
Very careful.
How long it is take to get service?
That doesn't matter. According to our officials,
Healthcare service.
according to our
What
officials,
officials?
and search it
You
up.
say we have
If
one
I
of that
lie now,
crazy.
search it up. That's what they say.
Well,
Who say
you
that?
see it wrong.
The ministers.
Sarah,
officials,
lying. Yeah, say the
Uncle
honorable.
Terry.
gosh!
Yes,
I
Uncle
said the
Terry.
honorable after.
Uncle Terry said
You
that.
crazy, you know?
Search it up.
I think you crazy.
Search
you
it
know?
up. I think you insane.
Your thoughts are mad.
I think as though you should sign
No,
yourself.
but
We don't end this now.
You should.
Fight each other.
But I feel like Stevenson's point get lost in translation. What is your baseline point? If you had to put your concluding sentence on the end date.
Right. This is my concluding sentence, and I will go from here. Prostitution should be legal but regularized by the state. So, therefore, people.
Don't be trying to put it in there. From the start of this episode, what we hear, you realize it. Then we hear them.
You got
Legalize
minus
I
to put
said-
out that
All of us
I
said it.
said legalize
Try
it,
again.
but
Wait, we
regulate
put
it.
the eraser.
Doesn't
Right,
matter.
no,
I'm
try
going to do
again.
my point, right?
Continue,
So,
start over.
Prostitution should be legal but regularized by the state so that people in society can have the ability to choose and have
That's
a
the
right
first
over
point
their body
paragraph, right?
autonomy.
But
And where's the
They should also
regulation?
Shut up.
No, but we
They
asked
have
it.
the ability to make their own money from it without they can be taxed. They should be taxed. Anyhow, you can make it, but you can, yes, tax income. All right.
How we regulate?
How we regulating that?
No, all of this is close in some
How we regulating
Right.
I was how we regulate.
So at the end of the day,
Sorry.
if you decide to go and prostitute yourself, that is your choice. That is your decision, and that is really at the end of the day, right?
Your closing sentence, then Annalise, I will ask.
My closing sentence: keep it illegal because some people live in a very right now they're mind delusional. We should keep it illegal because I really don't understand how some people would regulate this to prevent public negative implications.
Me personally, I don't believe Trinidad and Tobago is in the climate for legalizing prostitution. Personal beliefs. All I know, you know how I just feel about this thing. But I think our climate is not ready for that as yet. Yeah, if we cannot get a handle on drug trafficking, sex trafficking, the whole migrant situation that will be exacerbated, I don't think we're ready for that. So
I wouldn't even go on and on because Annalise basically said what I would have said. It would have all you need to stop it.
I stop.
Because it's like they will fight each other over the stuff.
I don't fight.
Right? So what I'm trying to say is legalizing something like prostitution would have a major negative societal impact, right? And as Annalise would have pointed out, there are a lot of things within our society, within our small twin island here, that we already have ongoing problems with. And though we try to decriminalize certain things and regulate certain things, it is still difficult. It is still difficult for our law enforcement to actually enforce it and regulate it. So that's my point. That is my closing sentence. You all please do not fight each other. Thank you for tuning into the AWS Show, Season 2, Episode 4. Comment down below. It could be a real controversial topic.
We didn't
We legalizing prostitution or we not legalizing prostitution? Comment down below. Bye.
Bye-bye.